What's good? What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to a second episode of Sip to Tally films. Technically it's the third because we just did the power rankings too. But so what I did was earlier in the day, I asked people if they wanted me to have the call-in show today, and there were enough ones.
You locked in. Keep staying locked in. And
appreciate you, Sean. Appreciate it. There were enough ones in the comment section and in the chat box to warrant me, doing the call-in show today. So I posed the question in the thumbnail to you guys. Is John Harbaugh and Decosta, are they top tier? The phone lines are open, and what I want to do is, before we get to the phone lines, I have a question to ask everybody that's listening. And you can put it in the comment section. So, I want us to have a percentage of, we need to come up with a standard line. Like, what's the percentage? What would be, for a GM to be considered successful, what's the percentage of his picks he needs to hit on year to year? Would that be, and what I mean is if it's 50%, if it's 35%, if it's 75%, what's, for this exercise, we need to have a baseline and then follow that baseline through. So if it's 50%, if it's 75%, if it's 35%, what percentage of picks should a GM hit in order to be considered successful? Because we know it is not realistic for you to hit on every pick. It's just not realistic for you to hit on every pick. So I'm looking, before we get into it, we got to come up with a number. I personally think it's 40. But I'm not gonna dictate to this one. I want everybody to be involved so we can go through it and kind of work through this and answer these two questions and whatnot. No, we ain't gonna put no first forward. No, we ain't doing that. Your whole draft. Not something of the first 4 rounds or 100% of your whole draft. Because we can manipulate a point one way or the other if we do stuff like that. We can manipulate a point. Like Ty just said the same thing I said. I say 40. I say 40%. Now, others may agree or disagree, but I'm trying to see where you guys are and if you feel the same way before I go. Because I don't want it to be just my opinion since we all here together. Just like Ty said, because late rounders can be better than first. Exactly. Look at likely, but not likely. Look at Mark and Hayden Hurst. Look at Mark and Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst was a first rounder. Mark was third, if I'm not mistaken. Mark's way better than Hayden Hurst. Way better than Hayden Hurst. Now we just talking about in general, P, not this year, just in general, because we finna go through and see about Decosta, and then we're gonna talk about Harbaugh too. We're gonna go through and see, and we're gonna talk about both. Why my thing not scrolling? Give me 1 second to fix this. I should have my chat going over here, and I don't see it. Give me 1 second to fix that. Cut, copy, come back over here. Paste. And I hope that worked. We'll see here in a second. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. It was working before we started. I'm going to give 2 more minutes, see if I can fix it, then we're going to get on with the business. Yeah, I don't know what it is, so forget it. We're not going to worry about it today. All right, so what I see down here, since my thing is not working, I got to look a little harder. Big Red says 35 to 45, depending on how many picks you have. Jeremiah said it starts with 50, then drops to 10% per. No. We're going to do, we need one set number before we get into this. P. Brown said 40. I said 40. Sean Cole saying 65 or 70. Let's do this. Let me make a poll real quick, and then we'll come to a consensus. I'm going to make a poll, and we'll come to a consensus. Hold on, typing. I'm a pecker, not a fast typer, so bear with me for 1 second. I messed up on my 50. All right. So the question is, all right, finna throw it up. And the phone lines are open. We'll get to them in just a second. I'm gonna get this poll like a minute or two, and we'll go from there. Some guys don't even get on the field early because they have 1 or 2. Yeah, true, Ty. Exactly. Jeremiah says EDC has drafted the most players in the league overall in a total, by total and percentages. Even your man Prochet is still getting a paycheck. Where is Prochet, Jeremiah? Is he still in Cleveland? I think he's still in Cleveland. Having the most picks don't necessarily mean you have to hit on them. So that's my number is 40. I'm picking 40. I'm trying to see what everybody else is doing. Come on, get your votes in. Get your votes in before we get started. Get your votes in. Because right now it looks like we're going with 50%. That's what we're looking at. 50%. And this is going to be an interactive conversation. I'm just not going to dictate it. It's going to be an interactive conversation. Sean says, EDC has every resource he needs. There's no reason why he should be capping off to a 45. What's the number? It should be in the chat. Should have went in the chat a couple times already. I know it's in the description. It's in the description of the video. Yeah, if somebody hit on their first 2 picks every draft, they would be the best ever. They'd be considered the best ever if they did that. If they hit on the first 2 picks every draft, they'd be considered the best ever. All right, so looks like 40 is where it's at. Looks like 40 is where it's at. So it looks like 40 is where it's at. So all right, so 40 is the number. 40 is the number. So let's do this. I got you. Hold on one second. Let's do this. Let me put this on the screen. And we'll go through these real quick. All right. So I'm going to take myself off for 1 second. You'll hear me, but you just won't see me. I'm going to take myself off. All right. So 40% is the number. 40% is the number. I hear you, callers. We're going to get to you in just a second. 40% is the number. So we'll start from the bottom down here. 2019. Marquise Brown, Jalen Ferguson, Miles Boykin, Justice Hill, Ben Powers, Iman Marshall, Dalen Mack, Trace McSorley. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 8. Where's my pen? I need a pen. Give me 1 second. That's 8. And so out of those 8 guys, we can go ahead and say this 2019 was a miss. Because ain't but 2 of them hit, in my opinion. That's Hollywood Brown.
You locked in. Keep staying locked in. And
Ready to hear y'all callers preach.
Appreciate you, B. I'm gonna come to him in just a second. So 2019 is a no, correct? He only hit on 2. We'd say Hollywood Brown and Justice Hill. Even if we give him Ben Powers, that still ain't 40%. That still ain't 40%. So 2019 is a no. We go to 2022. I'm sorry, 2020. Pat Queen, J.K. Dobbins, Matty BK, Devin Duvernay, Malik Harrison, Tyree Phillips, Ben Bredesen, Broderick Washington, James Prochet, Geno Stone. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So I know y'all don't like him, but PQ is a good one. Matty BK is a good one. What would we consider JK with the injuries? He's on his 3rd team now. I think he's with the Broncos. So definitely Pat Queen, definitely Matty BK. I would give him Ben Bredesen. No, not Ben Bredesen, because I'm thinking about Ben Powers. Never mind, not Ben Bredesen, no. And Prochet and Geno Stone. I'm going to say 2020 is no either. It's no too. All right, so first 2 years as the GM, technically by yourself, I give you a little pass. So let's go to 2021. You got Rashad Bateman. I'll give you that. I'll give you Oweh. Ben Cleveland, no. Brandon Stevens, no. I'll give you Tylen Wallace. That's 3. 3 out of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 3 out of 8. So that's still a no. Still a no. So now we get into where you're technically now a veteran GM. It's 2022. You're a veteran GM now. So what do you do? 2022, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So you at least need to have 5 guys out of this 2022 class for it to be successful. Kyle Hamilton, Linderbaum, yes. Ojabo, no. Travis Jones, yes. Falele. What? Falele is an all-star sub, and he's a starter. As much as we don't like him, what we gonna do with Falele? We'll come back to Falele. Hamilton, Linderbaum, yes. Travis Jones, yes. Isaiah Likely, yes. Armour Davis, no. I like Kolar, but he's in a messed up situation. And then Tyler Batty, no. And Pepe Williams, no. But I like, if we give him Kolar and Falele, this would be a yes. And to me, I'm leaning toward yes on this one. If we give him Falele and Kolar, because I like Kolar, really do. He's a third tight end behind two of the best tight ends in the NFL. So I'll give him a yes for 2022. He had the most picks that's the most picks he's had since he's been doing it, and he hit on enough of them. So let's go to 2023. You only had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You only had 6. Zay Flowers, Trent Simpson, Tavius Robinson, Caillou Blue Kelly. We should give him a no just for drafting Caillou Blue Kelly. We should. We should give him a no just for Caillou Blue Kelly. But Hope Ridge don't knock me out for that one. But Zay Flowers, yes. Trent Simpson, you a starter. Oh man. Tavius Robinson I like. So I'm giving him Zay. I'm giving him Tavius. Voorhees is a starter. Voorhees is a starter. Yeah, I see Ridge. Voorhees is a starter. How many is that again? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So if he got 3 in this group, that's a yes. And I think he got 3. You can go Zay, Tavius, and Voorhees, or you can go Zay, Trenton, and Tavius. He still got it for 2023. However you want to slice it. His only mistake was drafting KBK. That's his only mistake. But that was a huge mistake. That right there could kill his reputation forever. And then last year, we're not gonna do this year yet because we don't know what we got out of rookies for this year. Last year, Nate Wiggins, Roger Rosengarten. Hold on, let me see how many he got. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Got 9. So at least need 4 of these. Nate Wiggins, Roger Rosengarten, yes. That's 2. Adisa Isaac, we don't know yet. Tez, we don't know yet, but we hopeful. And this class right here might be too early to I think this class is too early to judge. Because you got Nate and Roger for sure. Adisa and Tez and TJ Tampa could be good. I don't see Rasheen Ali or Devin Leary or Saymac producing, and I think Snoozy Kane is way down the list. So these first 5, Nate, Roger, Adisa, Tez, and Tampa could be good. We don't know about Adisa, Walker, and Tampa, but we do know Nate and Rosengarten is good. So we'll leave it right there. And I'm gonna come to the phone lines. But before we go to the phone lines, just know that there are 3 no's and a yes. And then we undecided about 2024 because I think it's too early. And obviously we can't do 2025 because they ain't even touched the field yet. But let's come to the phone lines and let's go with that and see how you guys feel. And also, since even though we hadn't talked about John yet, you still can mention John and go from there. So let me get me back up here. Then I'm gonna come to the phone lines. Where's my button? There it is.
Respect. It's a respect thing.
Oh, watching the power rankings. That should be over with. Unless I did 7 o'clock. I might have did 7 o'clock and forgot about it. But we'll get to it. Let's go. All right. Come to the phone line. I think this P is up first. Yeah, P is up first. What's good?
What's going on, Coach?
I'm chilling.
Doing good, man.
So
doing good down here in this little Texas heat.
Do you think?
What you say?
The question is, do you think Harbaugh and EDC are a top 5 duo, or are one top 5 and the other one's not, or vice versa? What do you think about the pairing as a whole?
So for me, I mean, I understand the draft picks, right? Like, it ain't been too many draft classes, but how many teams, GMs, especially the way they pick or where they pick at, Ravens. When the last time the Ravens picked in the top 10? They haven't, right? Because they're winning, right? Because they're a winning team. So, from my perspective, I believe that's why they use the formulas. 2016 was the last time, and that was who? Right, exactly. So, I mean, when you picking probably like 15 and below, you kind of held at a certain standard. I understand now why they like bringing those draft picks and collecting them like that, because you got to take more swings in the later rounds, to hope you can find some gems. Now, where I give them a little bit of credit at is also out building a team from, free agents and stuff like that. You can give them a little bit of credit. I think this year will probably be one of his, especially from a free agent perspective, maybe might be one of his best years. Top 5, though, I put him in the top 10.
Okay.
I put him in the top 10. I can't say top 5 right now.
Together in the top 10?
I say together.
Just EDC.
Together as a duo, as a GM and a head coach, I'll say they in the top 10. And the reason why I say they in the top 10 is because the Ravens, even before Lamar, right? Yeah, I know the years that Joe Flacco was kind of on a decline, but pretty much from the exception, and if we're talking about EDC and John Harbaugh, they've been in the playoff picture every year.
Yeah. Every
year as a duo. Every single that's something that none of us, no matter how we feel about either one of them, we can take that away from them. They've been in contendership every year to make playoff runs, right? Can't take that away from them. Do they do some bonehead stuff? Sometimes it's the players, sometimes it's the coaching. But since EDC has taken over as the main GM, they have always been in playoff contention. Look, only one team won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Only 2 can go.
Agreed.
So, you cannot take that away from those 2 guys. So that's my take on it, Coach. I'm going to keep listening unless you got something else you want to ask me.
I do have a question. I ain't going to let you off the hook that easily. I'm going to ask this probably to everybody that called. With the roster as constructed today, and people are wanting to throw around this super team term. I won't go there yet because it's too early to know, like, who
it's way too early
and who declines and whatnot, but they're throwing that stuff out there. If they don't win the Super Bowl, should Harbaugh stay? I'm asking, what's the successful season with this team if it's not the Super Bowl, in your opinion?
In my opinion, it is a Super Bowl. And I ain't even talking about an appearance. I'm talking about a Super Bowl and a win.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that one word that nobody has control over, not EDC, not Harbaugh, or even the players to a certain, is health.
Yep.
That's it. Outside of that, and then even with that, to me, and I listen to you guys and the Ravens podcasts and everything, and I, do my own little itty bitty research, not nowhere near what y'all do, but even the depth of what we've been hearing in the mini camps and everything about, some of these corners and all that kind of stuff. We even on the only place I see that we lack maybe really good depth still is wide receiver, maybe, right? And maybe the defensive line, depending on if some of those undrafted guys or those late rounds maybe show up or not. Some people might say maybe even at pass rusher we might have some issues or whatever. I don't really think so. Hopefully if we hit on Mike Green, if Owe show back up in his contract year, even if Calvin Owe can give us half of what he gave us last year, I'm good with that.
35 or whatever he is.
Exactly. If not a Diesel, but what's the other, Robinson? If he show up, if he can give 5+ sacks, 4+ sacks this year, I'm good with that. where the test is going to come at is with the assembly of this, what everybody's saying, no-fly zone. I'm calling them the lockdown people at the bank, or the lockdown. I'm coming up with some kind of name, but you know, if that passing defense can hold steady at the beginning of the year, on paper, again, barring health, I mean, we already know what the offense can do.
Definitely.
With, I mean, right now you got 1, 2, 3 first-round draft pick wide receivers that's going to start. Right? That's almost reminding us of who? The Bengals.
We got 3 first rounders.
So, I mean,
3 first rounders.
right, 3 first-rounders.
Yeah.
You got a first-round running back. I mean, on paper, we should dominate.
Yeah.
Right? Outside of some bonehead player mistakes, some concentration stuff, defense, or second year, they got him some bona fide coaches in there that I think are really going to, you know, help him as far as, you know, just understanding the game, when to call stuff. I mean, you got a bona fide defensive guru in there, and Pagano, you know, he used to be the DC there. So, I mean, I think all the tools are in place as far as players and coaching for them to, at the very minimum, come out. What did they do last year? 12 and what was it? 12 and
don't make me lie.
What were we last year?
I think 12 and 5. I think, but Derrick Henry
12
was
and
second
5. I mean, at the very minimum, we're going to repeat that. That's the very minimum. I think we should go 14 and 3 or 15 and 2, honestly, and only those 2 losses, to me, might be. And it's the only reason why I say it might be because we like to, you know, when we play Kansas City, you know, coaching getting excited because Kansas City might be up by 11 or something, like then they stop doing, you know, it just come down to like coaching stuff, right? Can we beat Kansas? Heck yeah, we can beat Kansas City. We can road run Kansas City if we wanted to, right? If everything is on key. But that game, and I'm thinking maybe, you know, when it come down to the Steelers and the Bengals games, you know, we could always give up one of those. And I know with the Browns quarterback situation, but we can't count those guys out, right? They you know, it's an in-division game. So I think maybe out of those 3 divisional rounds teams, we might split a win between one of those. The other ones we're going to straight dominate. It's going to be 2-0 against all of them. One of them, whether it's Steelers, Browns, Bengals, we're going to split one of them. But everybody else, man, especially if it's an NFC team, we should dominate. But for me, it's Super Bowl appearance and win, honestly. I mean, it's too much talent on the team, like we've been saying for the last couple of years. But this year, for sure enough, it's too much talent on the team.
Most definitely.
For them not to, I mean, on both sides of the ball at this point.
True.
On both sides of the ball at this point.
Let me let a few
Thanks,
guys
Coach, man. I'm going to keep listening.
And I appreciate, you know, for you tuning in every time we do something, man. I appreciate it. I'm really appreciative.
No problem, man. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate y'all.
No problem. All right, next. That was P. Brown. Got my guy Cam up. Let's see. Cam, you got me? What's good, Cam?
I would have to say.
You super low.
I would say. What's that?
Your audio is super low. I can barely hear you, so I know they won't hear you.
You hear me now?
Barely.
Oh, you hear me now?
Yeah, I hear you. Go ahead.
I would say for get the hit at least. It depends on how many picks you have. Well, if you kind of hold picks, I'll still you got to hit on more of them. But if you have kind of like a Rams method of only having 2 picks, I would say only maybe like hit on 2. It depends, you know, because if you don't really hit on those picks, those kind of picks add up to the cap and stuff. So it kind of makes it hard to get free agents. And as you know, it kind of leads you to not really get crazy because you're kind of pouring the picks, and that can kind of leave you not getting proven talent. So I would say it depends on how many picks you have each year. But I would say as a duo, I would say EDC and John are bottom of the top 10. But in my opinion, I hold EDC higher than
7 or 8
Harbaugh
somewhere around there.
Yeah, I would hold EDC like 7 or 8, and Harbaugh kind of like the 10, 15 range. But because I think EDC does hit on more draft picks, it's just Harbaugh kind of has these little things of not playing guys, so it's kind of hard to really show who is actually that good or not. Because if they get on John Harbaugh on the bad side, they won't play, you know. So
True.
I feel like also going to agree with you, like he has to win the Super Bowl, or else John Harbaugh, my opinion, should be gone because there's not really anything else he can do. And also, I feel like he's kind of holding him back with his ego and stuff, you know.
Now, let me get you a question. One question for you before I get you out of here. You say EDC, you consider him higher than John Harbaugh. What?
Yes.
With the way he's picked up Jair and some other situations like that, what would that bump him up in your ranking? Because it's not just I only talked about drafting. I didn't talk about his free agent acquisitions. So his free agent acquisitions, would that make you rank him higher or lower?
I'm still having run the same because I kind of went off this draft that the LBHC had with Week Report. They had like Chiefs, the Eagles, Chiefs. Like I thought them kind of right behind Dan Snyder, and I have Dan Snyder 7, so I will probably like 7 or 8. Like we can flip between, in my opinion, the Packers and the Packers union and him because I would do like the Packers roster like without injuries is exactly loaded. It's just Jordan Love kind of holding them back a little bit. So I would say it's a toss up between the Packers or EDC being behind Dan Snyder. So I'll have him 7 or 8 right now.
Okay, that's fair. And so go ahead and finish your workout, man. And we ain't gonna hold you up too long, but we'll definitely have another one of these soon. And knock it. I need to be in there with you, but not today, my friend. Not today. I appreciate you, Cam.
Yeah, you called me the wrong time. Yeah, thank you.
All right, next up. That's Cam right there, everybody. Killer Cam in your chat box. That's who was on the line. Next up. Is EDC and John Harbaugh a top 5 duo, and would you rank one of them higher or lower than the other one? Let me know. Who am I talking to and why?
Sure, Coach. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you good.
On the money. You said they're a good duo. Yeah, I think so. Top 5, I'm going to be honest with you, Coach. I'm not super familiar with a lot of the structure of a lot of us. I've probably just been focused on us for like the last 2 years, so I'm a little out of touch with some of that. But ultimately, I feel like they're on the same mind track. They kind of have some of the same rationale, see some of the same things, communicate well with one another as well as with others. So I feel like they can see a issue through, for sure. I had a question. I had a bit of a question I wanted to ask you. It's just a bit of a matter of perspective. Real quick, a little off topic, a little bit. But cool. Lamar's first. So, but I believe like the first time he played, he went like 6 games before he lost one, which was the 7th game in the playoffs. I think he lost
his rookie year.
I'm not like a historian, so I don't be like all proper with all of that.
Like, he won 6 of 7 or 5 of 6, and then he lost the playoff game. So he lost 2 games.
Something like that. He came in real tight. The last game, I think the last game that we played before we got kicked out of the playoffs, at that point in time, I felt like it had become obvious that Lamar was having trouble getting down the field. And I kind of looked at Harbaugh like, why didn't you put Flacco in to get him down the field so that he could be more in the danger zone? I mean, where he's most dangerous at. And I felt like, if I would have been Harbaugh, I would have put Flacco in that game because I seen that he couldn't. You know, I'm learning him. You know, and I understand that coming to a new, you know, like the NFL from college, it's a different thing. You got to adapt to it. You know what I mean? You're not about to just, you know, come in and just ball out, which is what he did. But it's understandable that that was an issue and that's something that he had to work on. Not that he hadn't did it before or numerous times, but it's just in that clutch moment, you know. And I was a bit worried about him, you know, in that situation. I just thought that Harbaugh should have put Flacco in, get him down the field, and put him back in the game, you know. But I felt like Harbaugh did that because he believed in him a lot. You know, so, but to the next point, which is like Hollywood and Bate, I felt like it was more important to get Bate contract out the way immediately because Hollywood, you're going to pay him top dollar. And I didn't know that Bate wanted a new contract, but I was like, the hire of Hopkins would make room for you to be able to pay Bate. You know what I mean? Whereas you're not asking too much of him, and you can pay him at a reasonable price where he's not feeling like he's losing out on his youth or, you know, the money that he could be having. The way that EDC is whipping like this together, bro, is everything and more. Like, he don't miss a beat. When you have players that's on and off the injury list and playing one week and then not playing the next, he makes the most out of everything, every rule, what's the stuff they be talking about with the Panthers, they got like all the void years and stuff like that. Like, he doing every little piece of instrument that he can orchestrate, he is whipping it together. The best reason to hire, to sign the, what's the young man he just got, the corner they just got, I don't know his name, I'm not familiar with him neither, but he sound promising. Alexander, yeah, that one, right? So the best reason in my book to sign him is the reason that everybody talking about why they don't think, you know, why they would be cautious about signing him is the injury. I'm signing him for the injury. You know what I mean? Because of the injury, he don't want as much money, and they interested in trading him because of the injuries he been having. And if he don't ball out $4 million a year, you play 2 games and you got your money's worth. If he get 2 games, that's worth the $4 million right there. You know what I mean? Not to say that he won't exceed that. You know what I mean? So you know, like, and then them corners back there, like the back, it's on lock. The secondary is on lock. It's ridiculous. There's not nothing nobody can do. Like, Rowe don't even have to worry about back there, but he don't need to be babysitting either, though. And that's my only point. You know what I mean? But I felt like Hopkins freed up a lot of money for Bate. I don't see no reason they wouldn't be interested in signing Hopkins for another year. They got Derrick Henry. They got starters all over the field. You know what I mean? So even just grading it on how he drafted, I don't feel like that's fully encompassing all of what a GM is. Like, I also would look at, like, if you got a player like what's the guy name, like a Matt Judon that we signed and he go to another, you know, team and play for years and years, that opposed to somebody that's being signed, being played for a year and then not being used no more. You know, I'm grading that on a different scale. The longevity of it, what he's looking at, what we need. Some of those players might just be practice players. You know what I mean? When they get to a certain part of the draft or whatever. You're trying to build a good practice team. You're making sure that you can fill some holes 3 years down the line. It's not just on who's a starter. It's if you're getting the most out of those players. They signing injured players, whereas though they don't have to pay them for a year, and then they got to worry about it the next year. And like, EDC is putting a hurting on everybody, and nobody is up to par. Not in their team, in my understanding. Not in their team is meeting him even halfway. So, you know, I'm gonna leave that there.
Let me answer you.
I'm gonna leave that
first
there.
question was about I'm trying to remember. Oh, Lamar. Why didn't he put Flacco back in when Lamar was having his issues in the playoff game? And DJ Amp kind of he put in the comment section, but those would have been my words exactly. I feel like if you put the young guy in, then you quickly pull him, that kills his confidence. I think that's part.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah, right, exactly. Yes,
Bryce
yes.
Young over in Carolina, he was a starter, and he wasn't doing good. They pulled him and put Andy Dalton in. Then he just wasn't really the same until after Andy got hurt and he went back. He was better then, and he's progressed since then. So when you got a young guy, whenever you decide to play him, you gotta let him make.
You want to keep him there. I understand it, but in the purpose of winning the game, you know what I mean? Like, they different things, and Harbaugh had to go against, some of that or whatever. But and I wanted to say one more thing real quick, if it's okay. The pushing and pulling with the O-line and stuff like that. Now I can understand because I'm somebody that's kind of for it in a sense, but it's in a like a ultimate, kind of big picture sense or whatever. Like I think it's important for them guys to understand some of those things and the bases and the rules and fundamentals of doing it. I'm not saying you want to be doing that all year or having players be the center one game and then the left guard the next game. I get that you don't want to be doing that all game. But to build the ability to do it, you have to practice it. And the way to practice it is in-game. Now, granted, we don't want to be doing that all year. I feel a lot better if we had to do that this year at all because somebody went down for whatever reason due to the fact that we built a whole season of seeing what it looks like, how it's done. So that's all I'm going to say. And, I'll let y'all do your thing. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Call.
You my guy, bro. Stay up.
Tell me who I was talking to so I can lock you in.
I know you. Yeah, you the business, bro. I definitely pays a lot of attention to you. You say a lot of concrete things that make a lot of sense, and you challenge me to kind of think my way of thinking sometimes. So you definitely money. You teach me a lot, and it's definitely good money, man.
I appreciate you, man. Great call.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Great call. Great call. Let's see who we got up next. What up, Jose? I see you. What's good? Let's see. Next. I think I know who this is. What up? What you got for the show for me today?
Man, not much, cuz, man. Just chilling, enjoying this glorious Friday now. Listen to one of the best content creators of all of the land. You know what I'm saying? I ain't doing much, cuz. How you doing?
We're good, G. We're good.
Shoot, man. Nah, I'm just. I got a notification.
How the fam?
Yep. Man, they're doing good, man. Shoot. Yes, sir. Hey, hold on. Got my some 5-year-old son snoring like an animal over here. My second older daughter, she graduated high school, so I can't complain about nothing, man. Yes, sir. How about you?
Oh, we good, man. We good. We empty nesters around this joint.
That's good.
So, you know how that is.
Yeah.
Ain't no
yes,
pitter patter, no feet in the morning. We wake up when we get ready. We move when we get ready. We ain't got to feed no extra people.
Exactly.
We don't even have no pets around this joint.
Yes, sir. I'll try to be like you when I grow up.
But on this John Harbaugh, Eric Decosta situation, we kind of went through Harbaugh's, Eric Decosta's draft, process. But I didn't mention, and like the last callers, I didn't mention what he's done in the free agency and stuff like that, because drafting is not his. So what are your honest thoughts about John and EDC as a tandem and or individually?
I feel like, to be honest with you, ever since the I guess the Lamar era took off, right? And then drafting and between these two, there's been speculation and the whole EDC wanted to pick his guy. Had an opportunity to pick his head coach and, so on and so forth. But, us as a traditional type of franchise where we don't like to move off of coaches just because, and we're going to, we have pride in what we, our coaching. Like, we don't just fire. We don't just part ways. Same thing when it comes to the GM. When you're a winning organization, it shows, the lineage of how we, operate, right? But when it comes down to it, how I look at it, Coach, obviously, we all could say, Lamar saved, basically, Lamar saved John's job, right? We all said that.
I think we're in consensus with that one.
Yeah. And then when it comes to that, a year later, after his rookie year, Coach of the Year, GM of the Year, and so on and so forth, they took off, right? Mm-hmm. But my biggest thing, how I look at the view, is like when it comes to just ratings or rankings or whatever, EDC, ever since, the Lamar era, I would have to rank him third or maybe fourth. Now, a lot of people might put him at top one or top two or whatever. That's cool, and there's nothing wrong with it. But how I look at the spectrum is, okay, what we got some steals. Drafting in the mid 25 and and beyond, to 27, 28, whatever. It's hard. It's not an automatic steal that you're going to get in the first round. But, for the most part, he's been hitting on them pretty damn good, especially when he has a chance to get 2 first-round draft picks in multiple years when they're like Linderbaum, Hamilton, Linderbaum, Oweh, and Bateman, and then I think who else? I think there's a couple more, but like the double ups. But anyway, I'll put him. There's Howie Roseman number 1 to me, Les Snead number 2, and then the boy, what's the boy name in Kansas City? Can't think of his name. Oh my God,
I don't know the Kansas City GM name. I do know Snead with the
Golly,
and,
Brett V's or something like that. I can't think. Anyway, but I will literally, that's my order, and then I literally will put EDC right there. And the thing that separates them from EDC is willing to put in the final dagger. Like literally, just it's if you notice one thing about our team. I'm glad, Homeboy was talking about the 2018 rookie year of Lamar, and one thing you notice about every playoff loss, it comes down to this is funny how it's going to work with John coming in the picture as well. It comes down to interior offensive line failure for the most part. Yeah, people made some bad plays, but if you think about from the 2018 and all the way till now, you see a common trend where we literally had failure at the guard or center play. First year, James Hurst was getting destroyed, getting his back blown out by Melvin Ingram from the Chargers. You remember they was kicking him in and playing him out. And then the next year, what happened? Hey, I'm just keeping it real, coach. And then what's the Jeffrey Simmons, that big boy was giving both guards hell in another playoff in the 2019 playoff game when we played against Tennessee. And the same thing, and then Ed Oliver in that 2020 year when we finally got past Tennessee. Like if you notice the common trend, it's always that
Oliver
ever
again
since
this year.
Yeah, Ed Oliver again, and see that's my whole point, Coach. It comes down to really just like us neglecting. That's the one thing. That's why I can't put on iron the past 4. Like it's just when we neglect them a position, it really people don't realize it, but it shows consistently in the worst timing. Like and I'm talking about the playoffs. I don't give a damn. I think we got to a point where we don't give a damn about the off season. I said the best basketball team I can literally say is us is literally the LA Clippers from the 2000 when they had CP3, Blake Griffin.
Well,
they had a yeah, like bro, like literally, like we have everything that you need, man. We got the 6th man of the year coming off the bench type players. When it comes to like the Kyle Van Noys of the world, or the people that just off the scrap heap and they still ball out at an all pro, damn near an all pro level. It's like we got it. But now how this it comes back to John's part, where I say I will rate John lower, even like I'll probably put him as like 6, 5, maybe 5 or 6 or somewhere around there. I think anything higher than that is crazy. But and me, I'm not a huge John lover. I got respect for him though, but it comes down to the doghouse thing that he does with his players. Like it's just like, Coach, we talk ball all day, man. And the fact that we talk about...
Case in point, you talk about that doghouse thing. What if What if Ben Cleveland beats out Voorhees and balls out? And you had that man sitting in purgatory for 2 years? What
it would be the craziest thing in the world, Coach. That would be the craziest thing in the world. We wasted all the years just bullshitting. I mean, excuse my language. BSing with the dude. Because think about this. I just never understood. This is why I say with John, it's really hard to like rate him higher, because how the heck you have a fascination and with this player, like, I got to get this man. I went down to go see my brother-in-law, and holy cow, I saw Ben Cleveland, and I had to tell Eric we had to get him. You remember everybody? He was so happy when we got him because that was his pick. but you never play. You never want to play him. Like you never. It's just because the fact that probably he didn't conform to what you thought he was going to conform to you for, or kiss you. But I don't know. I don't know the whole thing. But it's just the fact that like we've seen it time and time again with players. Like why they ain't get no burn. Like why players don't get no burn. Like we seen when we had the running back of Tyson Williams. I think the boy from BYU for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
He had one bad couple bad fumbles, and literally kicked him to the curve. It's just a weird thing that we do. It's a weird thing that we do with our players, man. And I don't, is what it is. Like the fire Lele, anybody thought that his job was up for ransom? I'm sorry, but John loves that man. Like it ain't happening, man. It just even if there's better talent on the sideline, which I think a lot of us will agree there is, it just is what it is, man. And that's my problem. Like it's just like I feel like EDC deserves to be hired due to he brings, I think, potential replacement pieces, aka / starters. But I think the other side of the coin when it comes to John is like now you almost have to play like a political game. Like players might not never say it, all the love that he gets from the players, which is awesome. But I just feel like there's certain things that just we're never gonna know or hear. Because they try to keep it all sunshines and rainbows, but you got players like how you said we were talking about the Cleveland part, where we just don't. We're never going to see it. Like, and that's my problem with the team is just a whole is just like when we need the best players on the field in the most important games. I just feel like we're not going to get that unless everything just got to be perfect. Mm-hmm. And then with the talent that we have on the team, like this is every year, coach. Like for the past 3 years, we have fielded one of the most talented rosters for 3 years in a row, and like I said, it just came down to just errors, mistakes here, and then just bad interior O-line play for damn near since 2018. But that's why I'm mad, coach, with it.
Agreed. I appreciate you, G. I got a couple more guys behind you, man, and I'll hit you on the like we used to say in old school. I'll hit you on the jack a little later on.
Yes, sir. I got you.
All right, my boy.
All right, Clint.
All right, next up, let's see who we got. All right, how do you feel about Erie Decosta? But before you answer, what do I need to call you?
Wait, can you hear me? Is it me?
Yeah, I got you. I hear you fine.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, just call me Raph, R-A-P-H, Raph, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess I'll go EDC first, John second, and then like where they average out as a duo, right?
Okay.
So for EDC, and I'm actually going to go down and try and like get his exact ranking because I follow the NFL fairly closely, and I have a good memory of like all these different moves that people make. But Howie goes 1. That's not a debate, right? I think most of us will put Howie 1. Yeah, Veach 2nd. Rings matter, man. Both of them have multiple rings. Harbaugh hasn't got a ring since the Lewis and Reed days, so now I get to the number 3 spot, and then we have to start asking questions, which is like Les Snead, right? Mm-hmm. Les Snead has a ring. Mm-hmm. I don't remember when Les Snead got there. I don't know if he picked Aaron Donald. If he did, then that's the greatest defensive player I've ever seen. That's a dude who you can have him, a couple other guys, and a bunch of practice squad players, and they'll still be like a top half defense or top 10. So I think just for the ring, I mean, we all want to win championships, and that's more important than other stuff. So even with like sometimes the Rams have gone through ups and downs, but at the end of the day, I'm going to put the ring over it. So that means Les Snead at 3.
He got there in 12.
Yeah. 12? Okay, so he did pick Aaron Donald. Okay, then he's definitely 3. He's definitely 3. Because that picking a 6-foot defensive tackle in the top 15 is not an easy decision to make. So I'm going to give it to Les Snead at 3. Now we start getting the interesting stuff, right? Because is Brad Holmes of the Detroit Lions better than him?
Better than
right?
EDC?
Than EDC.
In my opinion, you get into where they're kind of similar, and that's where you got to You got to dig in a little bit deeper because I don't think Brad have one either. Correct?
A ring? Oh no, Brad Holmes doesn't have a Super Bowl ring. No, it's not. But it's the Detroit Lions,
Mm-hmm.
and
They were trash
they
for a
have
long time.
no history. They have no championship pedigree. They have one of the worst losing cultures we had seen for a long time, even with the whole Jim Caldwell thing. They went through a period with Matt Patricia.
Mm-hmm.
It's different as a GM when you have to walk in and there are so many holes to fill. He came in 2021, and although they had Frank Ragnow, the center, he wasn't there yet. T.J. Hawkinson was a decent tight end. They actually just came off of drafting Jeff Okudah at 3 overall, which is a complete whiff.
Right.
And having to build that, you find Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 4th round, who we should have drafted. I wanted Amon-Ra before that. I don't know if he should have, Oh, yeah. Shout out to Jose in the comments. He said the Bucks with Jason Light have a ring. I was going to get to Jason Light because of the whole Tom Brady thing later, but we're going to focus on Brad Holmes right now. You know, he doesn't get credit for taking Penei Sewell at 7. That was an obvious pick. He doesn't get credit for taking Aiden Hutchinson at 2. That was an obvious pick. But, you know, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, it's the whole keeping Jared Goff and not trying to replace him when people thought they should. I think it just is a little bit more time. I'll put EC over.
1 second, Ralph, to tell you what my mind was, since you brought up Brad Holmes, and I was sitting there thinking as you was talking. I picked I do a little power rankings thing, and I picked Detroit. I want to say that was Brad's 2nd year, maybe as the general manager. The year they picked Gibbs, the year they picked that linebacker. I thought they were going to be one of the worst teams in the league, and because I didn't give rookies credit for doing much, on a team, unless you maybe like a quarterback. But I thought the linebacker pick was horrible. I was wondering why he got rid of the running back and then picked up Gibbs. I was really questioning all his moves, and he made me look like a fool. So if you go with Brad Holmes here, I definitely can see your point after listening to you bring up all the different stuff. And also, I as I looked Brad Holmes up when you were talking, he worked for the Rams GM for 7 years.
Yeah. So, hometown bias. I'm gonna give EDC just the slight edge over Brad Holmes, because at the end of the day, both of them are still in the same place. And I feel like, EDC took over in 2018. Got Lamar first year.
No,
got Lamar.
He didn't draft Lamar.
Oh no, that was Ozzy's last pick. Yeah,
that was Ozzy's last. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, I feel like we still give him credit for the Orlando Brown trade, draft. Mark Andrews, and then
all them
2019.
All them. That's 2018.
Oh.
All them Ozzy.
Okay, so it was
EDC's
2019 when
was,
EDC came in.
Marquise Brown, Jalen Ferguson, Miles Borkin, Justice Hill, Ben Powers, Marshall, Dalen Mack, and McSorley. That was EDC's first year, 2019.
Yeah, that was a terrible year.
I will say Ozzy went out with a bang, though.
Yeah, 2019 was terrible. But 2020 started getting better. It feels like EDC took like a year or two to get kind of good, and then Brad Holmes was just like on fire. So if somebody puts Brad Holmes on top just because of how quickly he came out, and it's the Lions rather than the Ravens, but I'll still put EDC over. Now Jason Light of the Bucks has also done like a good job. He does what EDC doesn't do too, which is like he reloads offensive line constantly. I actually saw a comment in the chat, and shout out to whoever made it, I can't remember. It says that Lamar has had a different starting left guard for like the past 8 years or something, or since he's been starting to 8 different starting guards.
They put that on one of the big networks. One day last week, that was a topic on. I know it was on X, and I think it was on one of the big networks as well. They was talking about how many different left tackles I think that he's had throughout his career, which is an amazing number to say he's only been in the league since 2018.
Yeah, and that is just horrible. Oh, that's just horrible. And the thing is like one of the big things that you have to give like Howie a lot of credit for, and even to some extent like Brett Veach in Kansas City, is that they have a succession plan for the trenches, right? Part of them having a great offensive line and defensive line is they will draft players 1 to 2 years before the next one is about to retire or be gone.
Yep.
And we never did that with Yonda, right?
Sure did.
We never. Yonda stuck around for 13 years, I think, 13 seasons, which is crazy for a guard. That 13 years for a guard on one team, and he
Drafted in
never.
2007.
Yeah, and that's insane. And he never drafted a guard or an interior offensive lineman as a succession plan. And then he just retired, and we went through the revolving door.
Yep.
And Howie doesn't do that. Howie drafted Cam Jurgens 2 years before Jason Kelce retired, and now he's a Pro Bowler.
Yep.
And the year before that, he drafted Dickerson out of Alabama. So he always has a succession plan for the trenches. And even if you don't pay guards, you've always got a good one lined up, and they'll give them rest. I don't think the Eagles do the whole doghouse thing nearly as much as the Ravens do. You know,
look what they did with the guy they picked up from the Jets, Becton. Becton had a terrible, not resume, but a terrible work ethic and all this different stuff that the Jets said about him. They picked him up and said, if you can play, you can play. And he fit right in their system all the way to freaking Super Bowl. It was a 2,000-yard rusher.
Yeah. So
it ain't about ego with them. It's about who can play ball.
Yeah. And so that's just another problem I have. So I'll and then for the rest of them, I'm not going to put the Washington GM. I know some people are saying like, oh, put Adam Peters, the Washington GM. Not yet. It just started. Like, good for them that they made it to the championship game, but you can't go after just 1 year. You need more time. I'm definitely putting EDC over the dude from Buffalo. I'm sorry. Maybe it's rivalry or whatever, but I pick Lamar over Josh, and I like our players better than them.
Me too.
Jason Light of the Bucks obviously has a ring, but to answer this question, we just have to ask, if Baker Mayfield was the quarterback for the Bucks back in 2020, even the good Baker Mayfield, if Baker Mayfield was quarterbacking for the Bucks back in that COVID year, do they win the Super Bowl?
No. No matter how.
Okay, well then he's not better than EDC.
Right. No.
He's not better than EDC.
Right. So let's switch to John real quick. What you think about John and what he has in front of him with this quote unquote loaded roster?
I'm not as high as I'm like a lot of people. I don't put John over too many coaches. Obviously, Andy's over him. I'm putting the Packers coach LaFleur over him. It's crazy enough. I'm putting Dan Campbell over him. So that's 3.
What about McVay?
What?
What about Sean McVay?
Oh, easy. Yeah, Sean McVay over him. Easy. That's 4. Yeah. Kansas City, Detroit, Green Bay, L.A. And Sean McDermott, do I put Sean McDermott over him? Because Buffalo fans complain about their coach just as much as we complain about ours.
They do. They really do.
I think, you know what? I think I actually do have to put.
Go ahead. I used to have Tomlin over him, not anymore. I think Tomlin is terrible.
No, hell no. I'm not putting Tomlin over him. Tomlin's just it's not even a conversation. The crazy thing is, I think I have to put Sean McDermott over Harbaugh for 2 reasons. One, even with the losses for Buffalo in the playoffs, it never looks as bad as when the Ravens lose. And if we're being real, Josh Allen was a bigger project coming out of college than Lamar was. You know, even if Josh Allen was the more physically gifted. I mean, obviously Lamar is a freak, but arm strength and size and everything like that. He had a lot of accuracy issues, way more than Lamar. So it's a bigger project, and therefore it's kind of like a bigger success that they got Josh to even work, you know. So I think I actually have to put Sean McDermott over him too. I hate that I have to say that. So
let me throw this out there. McDermott, I think Josh went to a private quarterback coach after his rookie year to fix his throwing motion and stuff. So even though he plays for McDermott, I don't think McDermott fixed him. I think whoever that private coach was fixed Josh, because his change from year 1 to year 2, he's like a totally different dude. Totally different dude. Throwing the ball, that is.
Oh yeah, people are reminding me about, at least people saw Allen as a cube. I'm probably tripping. Yeah, I'm probably tripping about that. You're right. All right, I'll put John over Sean. I'll put John over Sean McDermott. So the only other ones that I would even consider is Kyle Shanahan. That's it.
Oh yeah.
But
that's about 7, about 6 or 7. Is that right?
In the conversation, yeah, the only definite ones, in my opinion, that I would take right now are Andy Reid for the Chiefs, Dan Campbell for the Detroit Lions, Matt LaFleur for the Packers, and Sean McVay for the Rams, and everything else is a conversation.
Gotcha.
So that puts John at 5. I was surprised. I thought he'd be lower, but it's just an opinion on everybody else for coaches.
Mm-hmm.
And then EDC is maybe like actually kind of around the same time. So it's weird. As much as I hate to admit it, they kind of average together around 5 to 7, both of them together. So yeah.
That's about right. That's about right. Ralph, I got 3 more guys behind you, so I don't want to make them wait too much longer. I really enjoyed the conversation.
I'm here, yeah.
So when we have another one, if you're available, hit me back, because I really enjoyed the conversation. I really enjoyed the knowledge and the depth of this conversation as well. This is one of the ones that I'm probably going to be thinking about the rest of the night to see if I change my ranking that I'm going to say at the end of this video. But I appreciate you, Ralph, and enjoy the rest of your Friday, man.
Yeah, appreciate it. And sorry to everyone, I started doing the whole project thing with Josh and Lamar. That was a crazy take. I don't know what I was thinking saying that. My bad.
It's all good. So Ralph was a great conversation. That was a great conversation. I look forward to talking to him more in the future. All right. Let's go to our next one. Let me lock this first.
The conference has been locked.
All right. So now, Eric Decosta, John Harbaugh, what are your thoughts on these two guys going forward, and should this be Super Bowl or bust for us? Who I got?
My name's Lamont, and it is Super Bowl or bust. I would say that they're probably 5-7 as far as coach and general manager paired together, because they haven't been to a Super Bowl, but they have been consistent in acquiring talent, getting most of it on the field, and getting something from it. Now, I think that Kansas City's number one. They have multiple Super Bowls. They had a head coach. They got a GM. They're really a class of themselves, realistically, because even the NFC knows they have to compete with Kansas City. They're surprised that they don't show up in the Super Bowl when they get there. Mm-hmm. Philly would be number 2, but you could go LA as number 2 because they've both been there and won one and lost one. Mm-hmm. But at some point, you got to win. So now that they both have rings, it's easy to put them ahead of John Harbaugh. He don't got no rings. Right. So I would look at it this way. If anyone wants to put them lower than 7, then they shouldn't have Super Bowl aspirations for this team.
Okay.
So now the
makes
question
a lot
is,
of sense.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you think that they're not that good, then you shouldn't be looking at them as the Super Bowl contender, as a fan or an outsider or anything. Because that means they're not. But we see they have really good players, some Pro Bowl players. They have an MVP caliber quarterback. That alone, an MVP caliber quarterback, puts them in a conversation. Okay. But then you go, what are the flaws? So you got to work back from, we know they have the most important piece on the field. What are the flaws? So you can say pass rush, but the scheme kind of works its way into them getting sacks. Okay. Right. Well, they don't have an outstanding guy that people go, we got to block this guy. But they do have a bunch of guys who, as a group, they're highly productive. True. Okay, well then maybe pass rush ain't really the problem. The problem is that they don't play
well. Even that year we were
in
first in sacks. We didn't have a guy go off in sacks. So that makes a great point. The scheme about the scheme.
But
great
then
point.
they're constantly productive. So what that tells me is that the coaching is good. The coaching is actually better than expected because you keep saying they don't have a guy. They ain't got a Suggs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they don't got a Suggs out there. They think they might have one in Mike Green. We'll find out what that'll be in the next 2-3 years. But they don't have a Suggs out there. They don't have a guy that other teams are going to be like, that's a game wrecker, and we got to do something about him. Their front says, we're going to throw some things at you. If you don't block it, your man's going on the ground. And that's cool. You know, like that's so cool to me because the way that they scheme that defense, you don't know who's coming or going. You don't know who's not coming and who's not going. Like it's crazy. I look at it like I said, man, they only sent 3. What are they? That's agitating to an offense, but they're forcing you to give them answers to a question you don't want to answer. What do they do if we put 7 in the box? They're gonna slide this way. This guy's gonna be free. He's not even coming. Right. So their coaching is top par. It really is. And so the problem is that people don't want to give that credit to John Harbaugh because he's not a play caller. He's not a defensive coordinator. He's an organizer of men. And, yeah, he don't even have a play calling background. He was a special teams guy.
Yep, sure was.
Like, okay, so then you got to give him more credit because he's not even doing that. He's going out looking through coordinators and saying, this guy fits what we want to do here. Mm-hmm. And then those guys get another job, go someplace else, and they don't miss a beat. That's credit to John Harbaugh.
Okay.
So we got to say that out loud so people hear it. That's credit to John Harbaugh. Mike McDonald gone.
Mm-hmm.
That defense looked in shambles early with a rookie defensive coordinator. Never called plays. And John Harbaugh and Eric Decosta said, we got our guy in the building. Everybody else like, they in shambles. They in shambles. Top 10 defense at the end of the year.
Yep.
So they have players. They didn't finish what every team is setting out to do. Okay. But I'm not willing to throw either one of them under the bus. And by the way, Eric Decosta could have taken any job in the league for multiple years when he was the assistant general manager.
Yep. That
and every team wanted him. And he did not leave John Harbaugh because that is also his guy.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to throw John Harbaugh under the bus, throw EDC with him. That's fine. But don't root for the Ravens because they stuck together. They do not want to leave each other. And it's smart because they see all this turnover.
Like family.
Yeah. They live next door. They're next door neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
One of them is going to get fired. The other one's going to quit. That's probably what will happen. As in a league with so much turnover in head coaching and GMs, because typically a GM goes some new place and they want to pick their own guy, but then they're also stuck with that guy because that's the only guy you could have. Because if you fire that coach, who else is going to trust you to hire them?
You picked them, right?
Right. So you, as my mama would say, you got to dance with the girl that brung you. So Harbaugh is in the building. EDC is in the building. Mm-hmm. And he was like, no, we got this our guy. This is what we're picking. Out of Philly, he got a really good EDC, has a really good relationship with Howie Roseman. Mm-hmm. I think Howie might be better at this, and I don't even want to say better because really it's a little bit of luck. You got to win some games. You got to be a little lucky. Because to be fair, Buffalo got lucky that game didn't go into OT.
Yeah.
Because it'd be weird if they had 3 turnovers and ended up in overtime.
Like, just to go back with the Buffalo getting lucky, that was the worst game I've ever seen Mark Andrews play in my life. And it just happened to be in a playoff game.
Man,
Mark
my
catches
heart
that little out 99 out of 100 times.
Yeah.
Then he fumbled early in the game.
If they're not 7,
I'm gonna go since you on. I'm gonna tell you where I have, and we can go from there. I think I got 1 or 2 more behind you, but I have EDC as 4.
I like it.
I have it as 4, and
I do.
That's factoring in draft and his pickups. And the first couple drafts,
draft, free agency, player development.
Yeah, you getting your feet wet. You trying to do all that, but that 2020 when he had the 11 or whatever picks. I mean, you got 2 tight ends that are a vital part of the offense. In
I had a question about
4th or 6th round. So I got him as 4th, and I'll save John to the very end. Go ahead, go with your question.
how are we? What's the plateau or the metric that we say these are good or bad picks? Because I think Tylan Wallace and James Prochet are the same dude. And you gave him a pass on Tylan Wallace. So you had to give both of them a pass.
Let me explain. Because Tylan has had moments when he get a chance to play, he produced. Prochet had chances to play and did not produce. And as much as it hurts me to say that, because I don't know if you know it, I am a Prochet homer. But Prochet had more opportunities than Tylan earlier, and he didn't produce every little. Well, not every, because he don't produce every time. But so Tylan has showed him some big spots for us.
I would say it's the bigger moment that Tylan Wallace has had. But if you go back and look at their numbers, they're basically the same.
Oh yeah.
It's just Tylan Wallace
might have a little more than him on offense.
I think it's a separation of like 25 yards.
Mm-hmm. Because Prochet did have one really good game, and then he was inactive.
Tylan Wallace basically had one really good game. He had one game, I think he's got over 100 yards receiving, and it was obviously that one where he broke for 80-something or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. And that punt return.
And the punt return. That's it.
Yep.
It's just 2 moments. He got 2 moments, and I say just, granted they were in the playoffs or what have you, but when I say just 2 moments, their yardage is separated by like 20 yards and 2 catches. Mm-hmm. They the same dude.
With Prochet on top.
They the same dude.
Know.
Say it again?
I'm saying, for the people that don't know, I think Prochet is on top of both of them numbers in catches and yards.
I think he might be by like 20 yards. But either way, for me, I think they're the same guy, and I'm okay with them being the same guy. I think it looks different now that the Ravens fan base and even national fan base, national media, has a different appreciation for the wide receivers in this organization because they look more productive. They're playing in a different system that gives them more opportunities. And they played under a different GM, and we ain't got to go there. We just don't got to. But having a coach who found an offensive coordinator to expand the offense and develop the quarterback that they saw in the draft is highly important. And that is credit to John Harbaugh. Mm-hmm. They found an OC who had the ability to use what they had at the table and expand it. And then they went out and got Flowers. And you're like, okay, now this looks a little different. Mm-hmm. Like, because Hollywood and Flowers, you think they're kind of diminutive, smaller fellas. But the way that they're used is different. The way that they produce is different. Like, Hollywood took a lot of throws and catches to get to 1,000 yards. And Flowers was like, oh, yeah, give me that thing. I'm out of here. Like, it's different. It just looks different. They are developing. Wide receiver no longer a weakness for this franchise. And it looked like it was going to be that for a very long time. Even when Flacco was there, we out there running out with Kamar Aiken. Don't play with me. I've been here too long. It's a long road to be able to look at these guys and see Bateman and see Flowers and see Wallace. Mm-hmm. Like, they don't have a Torrey Smith, but I would say that Bateman is somewhere between Torrey and Anquan Bolden. Mm. He reminds me the most, actually, of Derek Mason. He has unassuming speed. Bateman has unassuming speed, has really good hands.
What I'm thinking about.
Yeah, but he's always getting separation. That was Derek Mason. I'm like, this dude ain't even that fast. He don't run a 4.3 nothing.
Right.
But he opened again.
Like,
okay, like watching. Look, I've been a fan of the team since they started. I'm old. I'm 54.
I ain't too far behind
you. But the progression through Elvis Gerbach, Steve McNair.
Hey, whoa. Leave that name out of this.
Yeah.
It's been a
long road to get to Flacco even. It was a long road just to get to Joe Flacco.
True.
And then he got hurt. They played the rookie. They changed the schematics of what the offense would look like on the fly. This kid goes, 6-1, 6-2. Mm-hmm. They're like, okay, we know he can move. We got to do some things. They bring in Greg Roman. Okay, fine. But we also knew that had a shelf life.
Yep.
So the progression of watching Lamar's growth, the offense's growth, the franchise moving, and I know Marlon hit on it the other day. He said this team has always been known for defense, even though, the other side of the ball has been shining. We need to get back to that. Mm-hmm. That's the balance that they're missing.
Yep.
they do have to get some takeaways. We talked about it
I
last
was just going to say that's the only thing I think we're missing. Turnovers.
Yeah, that's it. And now we're talking about even if you go 1 for 1 in turnovers, push. Okay, the field position might be a problem maybe, but you do have to get turnovers. So they still get sacks out of the group. They hunt in a pack. It's not just one dude out here, you know. So you ain't got you think you could just like Madubuike. Good luck. Owe coming. Robinson coming.
Big traps.
Mike Green probably gonna be out here getting people too. Yeah. Like I ain't even get to old Calvin Owe. Like they got talent out there. I think people often look at Aaron Donald was an absolute wrecking machine. Them dudes don't come around that often. True. They really don't. And I think we get used to seeing them, but realistically they don't. Myles Garrett has signed up for staying in Cleveland. Now, I don't know if that's because he don't want the pressure of having to get them 16, 17 sacks on a team that actually need him to do it or what. But T.J. Watt, he signed up for that again.
Yep.
And I'm like, do you the question is, how loyal are you to the team? How loyal are you to the desire to win? Or how complacent are you with being able to take the money and not having any pressure? That's it. That's how I look at it. Them dudes in the division.
Right. Let me get to the two guys behind you. I don't want to hold them too long. They've been waiting. You
I appreciate you, Coach. I'm going to keep on listening.
That word up. You woke as well. But you waited as well. And I appreciate it. I mean, great conversation. I like the different form of thinking, which will give me more to think about, you know, before I come back with, another topic like this. Cause I got to do more of these kind of debating type deals because all our opinions are different. But just because somebody have a different opinion don't mean they're wrong. And that's what I want everybody to recognize that. So, again, I appreciate you for your call, man, and enjoy the rest of your Friday.
I appreciate you, Coach. Get this man's likes up. Stop playing in the chat.
Thank you. Hit that like button, just like you said. All right. We got 2 more left. We got 2 more. And I locked it so nobody else will be able to call in because I got to give me something to eat here in a minute.
I got you, homie.
What's up, my guy? I know you got some hot fire for me. What's good? That damn dub?
Man, you know I'm finna come in and shoot up the party, Coach. How you feeling, man?
I'm good.
So I'm going to try to make it as brief and descriptive at the same time as I can because I'm at work. Mm-hmm. And, but I still want to get the job done. So this going to go like this, man. It's hard for me to grade them and judge them as a tandem because John is a little bit more longer in the tooth in his job, and I feel he's much more ineffective in his role as head coach compared to EDC as general manager. So I'm going to kind of do them separately.
Do it separately, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of do them separately and then come back to like a group rating. Mm-hmm. For me, EDC has been on a roller coaster of job effectiveness. He's made some great moves. He's been a little bit too passive and not pulled the trigger on some things. Mm-hmm. I kind of feel like that's because he's handcuffed with Steve Bisciotti's, not being willing to spend like some other owners, We're a smaller market team, and it's kind of harder for us to operate like a bigger market team or a team that's not out on Front Street as much. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, man, I think he's done more than enough to get the squeeze out of the lemon in his job, and John hasn't done enough on the back end to make it a truly A-plus group effort or duo effort. You know what I'm saying?
So
EDC has
in
really,
layman's terms, EDC then gave him the groceries, and he ain't cooked the right meal.
EDC been doing most of the heavy lifting, and Job ain't secured the deal, man. I'm gonna just put it as simple as I can. Between all the in-game coaching errors, putting Zay Flowers on the punt return and him not being aware enough to tell him to, fair catch the punt to save a timeout, I can go back to so many different in-game coaching decisions where John Harbaugh has wet the bed and it has directly costed this team victories in big games or games we had no business losing to the Raiders on opening night or losing to the Raiders in week 2 like we did at home a couple years ago or losing to a Browns team or a far less talented Steelers team or just, teams we have no business losing to and it ends up costing us on the back end late in the regular season or a playoff home game or something like that. Mm-hmm. And, then John will get into the playoffs and his game plan will just be all out of whack because he want to prove a point or he just act like he don't have a clue
or, then you got the proverbial John Harbaugh doghouse.
Mm-hmm.
Like, John does too much bedwetting for me. So I hate to bust up the John Harbaugh love fest I've been here, and I've been impatiently waiting. But if I don't know nothing else under the sun, I know the sport of football. I done played with Pop Warner coaches that have more situational in-game awareness than John Harbaugh. I don't know if that stems from him just being a special teams coordinator before being a head coach, a job he did not earn with this organization. I'd have been happier keeping Brian Billick or going elsewhere. John been on the hot seat since Ray Lewis and Ed Reed left here, and until he got Lamar Jackson, that man ain't done nothing in this seat. He ain't done nothing. I don't care what nobody say, he win 12, 11, 13 games every. So that's the heavy lifting. The EDC providing this organization with a roster, and the roster itself being so talented that they win games in spite of John Harbaugh. Now, EDC, like I say, he can be hot, can be cold, but for the most part, I'm pleased with his performance. He took over for Ozzie, and he's provided this team with the personnel to make it a true contender more years than not.
Gotcha. I agree.
With the composition of this year's roster going into this season, I don't care how much the national media want to harp on Lamar. This season, more than any, is at the feet of John Harbaugh. And if we don't win a ring this year, that man bet not be my head coach next year, man. I'm telling you, I don't want him. I already ain't wanted him. But if he don't secure it this year, with a quarterback that just went 10-1 touchdown to interception ratio,
right?
Should have been a third MVP. Should have been a third MVP. Now, Hendo made a point that somebody gave Lamar MVP when the NFL didn't give it to him, but he got like a media MVP, and I count that.
Oh yeah,
because those guys actually
the writers, the sports writers, he got MVP for that. Yeah, and they gave him an award.
To me, that's just as legitimate.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's just as legitimate. So, John better bring that thing home this year, man, because I don't want him back next year.
Gotcha.
Yeah, John better bring that thing home this year, because if you don't, this roster is too talented. All you got to do is secure the little loose ends and, make sure you're making the right personnel decisions. Make sure you're doing what you got to do to keep your guys healthy and make the situational coaching adjustment and changes to where you're not blatantly being out-coached. I don't care if it's Andy Reid. You got the talent to now out-coach him. You got everything in place, man. Is this roster perfect? No. Has EDC done a perfect job? No, because I'm still mad at him for how he purposely, sent Lamar out there with a patched-up offensive line a couple years ago and told the fan base, well, this year's offensive line isn't going to be this and that, but next year we'll be right back where we need to be to protect our quarterback. Mahomes don't get that treatment. Burrow don't get that treatment. I mean, all these other top-flight quarterbacks, they have protection. Now, the Bengals' offensive line ain't been that, but they knew that going in, and they didn't sell their fans no dream. But they did supply him with 3 number 1 receivers for about 3-4 years in a row.
True.
Now that's where EDC has dropped the ball at. I still don't believe Lamar has played with a top-flight, bona fide number 1 wide receiver. We send a lot of makeshift guys out there and try to put together a group. But give that boy a blue-collar, solidified, true number 1 receiver and watch him do work. But if you're not going to do that, patch up everything else and let that man go to work that way.
Right.
But EDC done a lot more heavy lifting than John Harbaugh, man.
I think.
Say that again?
I think, and y'all can check me on this in November and December, but I think this will be the year that he has a legit number 1. And in my opinion, it ain't the guy that everybody think it is.
It's Bateman.
To me, it's Bateman.
Bateman.
I see it in his route running. I see it in his confidence. If he stays the capital H word, I think it's gonna be Bateman. I think you guys will see a true number 1 out of Bateman, and Zay will be the perfect complement to him with the other receiving core and the tight ends. I think Bateman will have a monster year this year. I do.
He just got to stay healthy, man. If that boy can stay healthy, it's a wrap.
Mm-hmm. W, got one last comment before I get you up out here?
No, man, I think I covered everything I meant to. A lot of guys made a lot of good points, man, and I hate to come in hot on John, but
it's your opinion,
I low-key got him somewhere.
That's how you feel. That's what
I
said.
got him
We all
somewhere
have
around.
different opinions, and that's what these spaces are. To no judgment. Because if you love John, that's fine. I ain't tripping. If you don't like him, I ain't tripping. I just want to have the conversation, and if you can, like both people have the last two calls. Like you were against John for the most part. He was for John, and I see both sides. Just give me something to think about. So don't ever, when I got not just you but everybody listening, don't ever feel like you got to be one sided if you go against what the chat's saying or if you go against what the callers. No, call in, because you may say something that make me, like Arsenio used to do, things that make me say, I'm telling my age when I say Arsenio. So
that's facts.
That's it though, man. I appreciate you, Dub, for always coming on here being real. And every time we have a call-in show, if you're not you are working. If you can get to the phone.
All right, Coach. I appreciate you. I'll talk to you again.
All right, big dog. Appreciate it.
Yep.
All right, last one. We got one left. One left. All right. You've heard a lot of pro John, a lot of negative John. You've heard some both ways for EDC. What is your opinion on the two, and can you group them together and do it separately?
I got you. Well, first of all, what's going on, Coach? How you doing, team?
I'm good. I knew who it was. I knew exactly who it was.
No, I got you. I just want to say that, dog. It's funny. I thought about you today, dog.
Appreciate
and honestly, I'm late to the game. I just got out the road.
Uh-huh.
I saw you was live. I saw you had the call-in show. I just wanted to call and say what's up. But I'll chime in a little bit.
Okay.
But I think a lot of the guys, especially the caller before, kind of said I kind of echo what he said.
Mm-hmm.
But on y'all GM, I give him an incomplete because I can't put him top 5 because there's more than 5 GMs who won rings and a couple who won multiple, and he gets an incomplete because he wasn't the GM when the Hall of Fame franchise multi MVP quarterback was drafted.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can't give him a grade because you've been given what most teams most GMs are searching for.
Right.
And has been handed to you, and you haven't given him what he needs to come through.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying?
Quality point.
And I do as far as so I can't put him in the top 5.
Okay.
I give him an incomplete. Maybe it's arguable. Maybe you can if you 6 or 7, then you can argue top 5. So I'm not gonna argue with anybody who puts him in there. I just can't do it. You know what I'm saying? And so I can rattle off 4 at the top of my head that I would put above him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you want to hear him, I can give it to you.
Go
The
ahead.
GM from the Rams,
Uh-huh.
the GM from the Chiefs,
Uh-huh.
Howie Roseman,
Mm-hmm.
and I put. I mean, I'm going to sound like a homer, but I put my guy from our guy from Jason Licht ahead of him.
Now,
Because,
I don't know if you heard it
when he
earlier,
got-
but somebody asked a question about, like, they were saying if the Baker that you have now was the quarterback when
Mhm.
Tom won, would they still have won? And I said no, and to him he said that,
Oh, hell no.
that makes Light not be ahead of EDC. That's what he said.
And that makes absolutely no sense. If anything, that proves that he's a bit ahead at EDC, because like I've said this before, because we had Mike Evans and we had Godwin, who's better than any receiver that y'all probably ever had in the history of our franchise. And once we got Tom Brady, we went all in and got Gronk and we got AB and added whoever we needed to add on offensive defense to give him what we needed to get put over the top. Right. EDC is yet to do that. Now he started. This may be the year to do that this year.
You saw the light. They went all in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that's
and
what
once because he knew that. Right, and he knew that, you know what I'm saying, and didn't waste any of the years. And we won one and probably could have won 2 if AB could have stayed on his meds for a little bit longer. We still should have beat the Rams even without AB. We didn't have Godwin either. Remember, Godwin got hurt, so we had both of them. We probably went back-to-back Super Bowls. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, so I'll take him. You know, and then I can argue some other ones, but I don't want. That's neither here nor there. I don't want to beat the dead horse, but I will give John credit for. He's definitely really, really good at assembling the staff. Mm-hmm. You know, he's kind of survived a couple iterations. Yeah, and that's the biggest part actually.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people think it's the management. It's not. because the game, like the late great Tony Dungy said, all the preparation for the game is done during the week.
Yep.
The game is the. I mean, you were a coach, you know how it goes. You know, prep hours you put in for in high school, what, an hour and a half game, give or take, maybe 2 hours.
Maybe 2 hours.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like yeah. So you already know how it is. And so, but the thing is, though, the reason why I can't really put him in the top 5 is because when it comes down to it, can your coach, if it's close, can your coach win you a game? You know what I'm saying? And can you say like, can he win? Can he make the decision or not make the mistake as the coach manage the game if the game is close in order for you to win? You know what I'm saying? Now he's good at assembling the staff. Especially with Lamar, y'all blow everybody out and the games aren't close. But what it boils down to in those close moments, can he manage Lamar and keep his emotions? Can he manage Mark Andrews to make sure that, you know, okay, yeah, you dropped it, you fumbled the ball, you drop passes. Can you catch the ball? Can you manage your play caller to where if he's not giving Derrick Henry the ball, like, no, you're going to run the ball again on 2nd and goal, and not try to throw an out route to Ronnie's family. Right. And they have it covered. You understand what I'm saying? And that's a part of it. Or can you make sure in the AFC Championship game, even though granted you don't have a top flight running back, but you run the football and stop play action on every first down, like you need to score 30 points.
Because nobody
is going to bite
on play action if you don't establish the run. If you don't establish the run,
exactly not.
Nobody's biting on play action. You're wasting time.
No, you wasted time. And so and then again, it goes back to your GM. Like you added OBJ, but your guards have got whipped twice in 2 elimination games in the playoffs. Your guards have got whipped, and been the difference between you winning and losing playoff games.
Agreed.
You know what I'm saying? And so 2 years in a row. And so did you fix it? Are your guards better this year than next year? Are you hoping that they're better? And then when you inevitably play the Chiefs in a winner go home game, do you have somebody that can at least get in front of Chris Jones to stop him from wrecking your game?
At least blow on him. Pause. I mean it like that. I mean like
right. I know what you mean, dude. That's why I can only give him an incomplete, because we only think outside looking in, you only think the roster is that good because the quarterback's that good. If the backup quarterback that y'all signed this year were the quarterback, would y'all expect to make the playoffs still?
I think we'd expect to make the playoffs.
Would you still be
winning it? Winning it wouldn't be in the question. Winning it wouldn't be in the question. And I think it'd be a fight to get in the playoffs. I think we'd be 6 or 7 seed, like fighting to get in there. Like last week of the season, we got to win games and whatnot. And if Cooper Rush is your quarterback, your defense has no choice than to create more turnovers. You just ain't got no choice.
I'll put it this way. So we'll just start with the Steelers and the Bengals. Mm-hmm. Now the Steelers got Aaron Rodgers. You know what the Bengals got. Mm-hmm. Cooper Rush, your quarterback. Are y'all gonna be able to split the series, or do y'all get swept because you don't have Lamar?
I think we can split with the Steelers. I think we can split with the Browns. Keeping up with the Bengals with Cooper Rush as a quarterback would probably be an issue.
Right. So that makes you 2-4. That makes you 2-4 in the division. Mm-hmm. And so now you're going to Buffalo. You're not winning that game. You're going to Minnesota. You're not winning. You're not, like, y'all got a tough schedule. And people, like I say, from the outside looking in, I've seen what it looks like being a Buccaneers fan, and you know the Ravens have always been my second team. And when you don't have a quarterback, that y'all don't really understand. I don't think some of y'all fan base understand how good Lamar is. No. How great that dude is. Like, literally, he gets the Super Bowl.
He's the best player in the league to me, and I don't care what nobody say. He's the best player in the league to me.
Right. It's not even a question. He gets the Super Bowl, he's top 10 all time. He gets 2, he's top 5. He gets 3, it's an argument that he's the greatest. And I was going back and forth with Rita because she posted something. Mm-hmm. And dude, Lamar gets a Super Bowl MVP. He'd be arguably the most decorated player, college and pro, in pro football history.
Heisman,
Because
MVPs,
yeah, right.
Super Bowl MVPs. Yep.
That's never been done before. Not by a quarterback. It's been done by Tony Dorsett has done it, but it's never been done by a quarterback. Cam came the closest to doing it, but Joe Burrow can win it. But Joe Burrow could possibly do it, but he doesn't have the regular season MVP yet.
Right.
You know. So, and then we all know Josh Allen wasn't that good in college. Peyton Manning, even though he's the most decorated quarterback as far as MVPs, first team All Pros, all that's concerned, he never won the national championship and never won the Heisman, but he won every other award.
But our
college.
quarterback coach won
Lamar
a national
Jackson
championship right after Peyton left.
Mm-hmm.
T.
Yep,
Martin
with
won that right after
the
Peyton
quarterback
left.
coach.
Yep.
With the current quarterback coach, who should get an opportunity to be able to call plays, because most times whenever the quarterback coach coaches the MVP, he would get offensive coordinator job, if not a head coaching job.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a different story for a different day.
Your
So that's
quarterback coach go get a head coaching job at Jacksonville, or was he the OC?
No, he was a QB coach before, but he was the OC.
Okay.
He was the OC. Same thing with Canales. Canales was a quarterback coach for Russell Wilson.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was Russell Wilson, but he was in Seattle, had our job for a year, and then became. So Baker Mayfield got two guys head coaching jobs, but
Look at that.
the MVP of the league has got not one OC or head coaching job. Let that make sense. And we weren't even a high caliber offense like that. Not like the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes sense. So I give John credit for a similarness that you can't diminish that. You cannot diminish that. But the one thing that you got to take away from, you've had an all-time great quarterback, and you had it for 8 years, and you haven't even not alone won a Super Bowl, you haven't even gotten to a Super Bowl.
True.
And you can make an argument that y'all weren't even though the game was within 7 points, y'all weren't even close because the Chiefs beat y'all in every aspect of that game. You know what I'm saying? Like people harp on that y'all only gave up 17 points. That's because Kansas City wasn't trying to score. They knew what type of game it was going to be, and they played it. They held the ball for 37 minutes. AFC Championship game. And so people like to say, "Oh, Lamar pissed down his leg." Nah, he didn't. He did not necessarily. The whole team did. Mm-hmm. And yeah, they only gave up 17 points, but whenever the Chiefs wanted to keep the ball longer or make a play, they could do it.
They couldn't get off the field.
They needed when y'all scored. When they scored, y'all scored. They was like, you know what, we need to start down two. They scored it. They needed 3 points and they didn't have. They got it. They needed to make one more play so y'all don't get the ball back. They did it. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't know how you get over the hump. I can't say if that's a Harbaugh thing or not. But most guys don't get that opportunity because Tony Dungy turned our franchise around, and the Glazers sent him packing and got John Gruden. We got over the hump, and then our franchise was destroyed, but we got a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Sometimes it takes
and so that's the thing. So
I think we on that track now. I think.
I'm as close to it as you can. I would agree, for the simple fact that they upgraded the backup quarterback. Now I would have probably done something different than Cooper Rush. You know what I'm saying?
I
probably would have either
to Lamar.
Yeah, but you know they've gone away from that the last couple of years, and even with Devin Leary, like it's like it's almost to the fact they don't. And I mean, I guess we can talk about this. They're starting to treat Lamar as if he's not a black quarterback anymore, as far as the system is concerned. You know what I'm saying? As the type of quarterbacks that they're bringing in, because before they brought in, Lamar-like quarterbacks, and they're not doing that anymore.
As a bad thing. I take that as they treating him as a for real quarterback, and the backups have to do what he can do. They're treating his legs as extra and not just a part of the plan. They're teaching real concepts, teaching real reads, and whatever he do with his legs is extra. Instead of it being the main thing.
Which again, I'll knock Harbaugh for it, because why did that take so long? That should have been the idea from the beginning.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Now I get it. You want to let him develop. You know what I'm saying? Run some concepts, but why not keep G-Roll in the position that he was in and bring in somebody to run off? Because essentially what they kept all G-Roll, all or most of G-Roll's run concepts and just added pro concepts to him. You know, you could have done that from the beginning. I think that was the plan to do that. And I don't know if y'all fired Morty Morningwood or what, but he ended up somehow he only lasted, or he retired, but somehow he only lasted 1 year and brought in G-Roll. It worked. You know what I'm saying?
G-Roll was already
and really and truly. Right, he was the tight end coach. He was tight end coach and assistant head coach, if I remember correctly. And then they and so I don't know if they brought him in because they brought in Lamar. I think to keep the whole thing was to get rid of him. But it just like I said, as a fan of y'all team and a fan of Lamar, it's just unfortunate how many, and you don't want to harp on the past, and that's what, like I said, but this is a part of the grading of the head coach and the GM is that you had opportunities wasted.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like y'all should really don't be ring number 3 right now. It's at least three times y'all are the best team in the league.
Yeah. 19, 20.
At least 3 times.
19 and 23.
19, 23, and 20. I would say last year y'all were the best team in the league. You know what I'm saying? So if you had at least decent,
we wasn't better than Philly.
Mm-mm.
Their defensive line was too darn good.
Their defensive line. I'm not taking nothing away from their defensive line. But if you have just at least competent guard play, in number eight is the biggest factor of winning and losing in the league over any player.
Yeah,
you understand what I'm saying? So it's one of those things to where you with him, that alone, like their defensive line was good, but if you have at least halfway competent guard play, who can at least get in the way of a middle linebacker and at least allow Derrick Henry to get at least a half of a running start, maybe you can make it for. And then two, even you say Philly's a better team. If Justin Tucker makes field goals, y'all win that game. And extra points, y'all win that game.
You're right. And
you know
that's why
what I'm saying? That's why
I say Derrick Henry's 1,900 yards. It to me was more impressive than Saquon's 2,000 because of how hard he had to work for him.
Yeah. Right, and honestly, bro, I'm a football nerd, bro. So I got, especially now because I'm getting ready to transition. So I got a little bit more time on my hands.
Mm-hmm.
Derrick Henry is people don't want to say about Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry's not even at his peak anymore. That's how big because if you even go back and look at Derrick Henry's career, or go back even look at last year, and go back and look at the drives, how many times did Derrick Henry carry the ball more than 2 times in a row? Or after a long run and asked to come out of the game.
That he asked.
He never did that. He never did that in Tennessee.
No,
he asked to come out. Yeah, he asked to come out.
Yeah,
it'll be a lot of times like you go back and watch.
He was getting that thing in Tennessee. They was gonna feed him because
in Tennessee. No, that's what I'm saying. In Tennessee, in Tennessee he never did that. So it's like he's still got like if he wants to, he could play for another 2 years because he doesn't really have soft tissue injuries like that. But as far as his workload, and I think the Ravens did a good job with his workload last year. The issue is y'all should have got him and gave up whatever Tennessee wanted the year before, and y'all win the Super Bowl. Right. And that's why I give EDC incomplete. You know what I'm saying? So you got him, it helps. But when you have better guard play, you didn't have him. So now you have him. Your guards suck, and you're not really trying to win. So now you lose the first 2 games, and the game that should have been in Baltimore is in Tennessee. I mean, is in Buffalo. And so now you got to deal with, I know it gets cold in Baltimore, but it don't snow like that. So now you got to deal with the snow. So now the ball gets snapped hard to the left of Lamar. Lamar tries to get out of it. The ball slips out of his hand. He fumbles.
True that.
Or on the 2-point conversion, I went back and looked at it. Granted, Lamar should have caught it, but it wasn't as good a pass as it needed to go. But again, you in the snow, if the ball's out in front of him, he stumbles, he falls down. Why? Because Justin Tucker can't make field goals at the beginning of the season. You lose a game you shouldn't lose. Instead of being number 1 and number 2 seed, you're number 3 seed. You're on the road. Anything can happen on the road. Still should have beat them. You're a better team, but you lose the game. Incomplete. You know what I'm saying? So, but I ain't gonna hold you. I ain't gonna hold you, coach.
Hey, it's great talking to you again. Great points, and it's
always good
to hear an outsider's view of how we do. Because sometimes we can get purple blinders on, and even though some of us hate Purple Patrol. We turn into Purple Patrol at times. So I appreciate an outsider.
No, that's true. But y'all not that far away, bro. It's hard winning. It's hard. It's hard winning the Super Bowl. You can understand everything needs to go right. The issue is you got the best player in the sport, and I really believe once he figures it out, and if they don't trade everybody away, if y'all win it this year, y'all got a possibility of running it back to back, even getting a three-peat. Because I think the guy that y'all have is really, honestly, he's Jordan and Cleats, bro.
Oh, most definitely.
You know what I'm saying? He's Jordan and Cleats.
Can't
That's what I think.
Nothing. I know Pat got the rings, but I'm looking at as of 6/20/2025 at 8:33 p.m. Lamar's the best player in the league,
and he's been there for the last 3 years.
Yep.
But the difference is that right now, and people call him Mahomes Jordan. Nah, Mahomes, to me, Mahomes and the Chiefs are the Pistons, and Jordan is in Baltimore. In the 80s, Jordan didn't win. He was a high flyer.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the 90s, Jordan dominated and became the GOAT.
Right. Had to get through the
That's what I see.
To get through the Pistons on his way to the championship. And once he got
the
that
Bucks,
on
the way to the championships. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so he only 28. Jordan won his first ring at 28. So,
Peyton
it all lines up. I could be wrong, but, I could be wrong. Yeah. So, and Peyton Manning was 30 when he won his. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, he don't
even older.
Yeah, he was 30. Yeah, because he didn't make the playoffs his first year, and he missed the playoffs a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
So he didn't. And then when Tony Dungy got there, they lost a couple years before they broke through, and that was y'all 13-3 year that they actually broke through and won the Super Bowl. But but I ain't gonna hold you, Coach. I know if you want to get to your Friday night, though, I always good talking to you.
Hey,
I look forward to the next call, then, man.
That's a great way to end,
All right,
man. I appreciate your team, Root.
Yes, really.
All right. That was the last caller, man. Great calls tonight. Great conversation on both sides of the fence as far as, if you love John, if you don't love him, where and why. That's the biggest part to me is, like, whether you love him or not, that is your opinion. But for a bunch of you guys to be able to articulate why is why I enjoy doing these. Because again, it's, we don't have to agree on everything, but you may say something that makes my brain think about somebody I didn't thought of, or people in the chat. And looked like the chat was fairly, unbiased, whether, if somebody had a different opinion, y'all talked about it, I was cutting my eyes over there. So thank you guys for being respectful in the chat. Thank all the callers for calling in. Thank Heather for her super chat. Where is it? What did Heather say? Let me get Heather. I want to make sure. I want to say thank you, but I want to make sure I read her message. Oh, she just dropped a 10. Oh, OJ Pimp dropped 2. I appreciate you, Pimp. I didn't even see that. He says, keep up the great work, Coach. 86 Ghost dropped 2 for, he says, watching the power rankings at the same time. And don't forget about the power rankings. And then 86 Ghost also renewed his membership for 17 months. So appreciate you for being a member for 17 months. You can be a member. You can go to Patreon. You can do Super Chat. You can do Super Thanks. All that stuff is open. I appreciate you guys, man. Enjoy y'all Friday night. And if you're watching this on the replay, let me know how you feel about John Harbaugh and Eric Decosta. I have Eric Decosta at 4. I have John Harbaugh at 7. That's where I have them. And I just wanted to make sure I said that before I got up out of here. Again, appreciate you guys, man. Y'all could have been anywhere in the world, but y'all chose to be here with me. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. And hit the like button on your way out if you haven't done it so far. Thank y'all.
Respect, please.
Appreciate you, Osmond. Appreciate it. Thank you. What you doing? Gotta eat, rah-rah. I'm surprised you didn't hit my stomach on the mic.